Tov, everyone.
Torah.
Shalom, Rav.
Dr. Lay, Stephen, who else with us? Brian and Glenda with us. Erev Tov, everyone. It's good to see you all with us. Who else with us? Let's see if we have more. I see that Stephen, Ivor, and Anthony joining us. Good. Okay. Erev Tov, everyone. Dr. Les, give us the good news.
I wish I could tell you some very good news. Unfortunately, it's actually quite sad news. They showed the video of the last El Al flight leaving what used to be called Jan Smuts, Oliver Tambo. And there were people on the tarmac that were taking pictures because it's historic. It's really the end of an era. And I don't know, I felt very, very sad to see that video because it's got major implications. And it's really as much the end of an era. But Rav, I must just tell you, we're seeing things that there's a word here we use in Israel, lo yuman, we cannot believe. The new rector of the University of Glasgow in Scotland, who's been appointed, is a British Palestinian doctor, Ghassan Abu Sita, and he was very proud to praise the terrorists who flew on the gliders that attacked and killed six IDF soldiers. He praised them and he publicized it. And he's been appointed the rector of the University of Glasgow, somebody who praises terrorists. So, Rabbi, I wish I could tell you good news, but in Scotland, it is just unbelievable. Imagine going to university, and there are Jewish students at this university, and the rector of your university praises terrorists that kill innocent Jews. It's just unbelievable. Now, if you in America, there's the picture of, and it's so sad, Shani Look. She was the dual British-German young girl from the Nova Festival that they actually abducted her, they raped her, and then they killed her, and then they took her on a truck with her dead body. And one of the photographer, Ali Mahmoud, took the photo. Now, not only did he take the photo of Hamas abducting a dead body on the van, this photo was submitted to the major school of photography in America, and it's a school of journalism in Missouri, and it won the first prize. It's unbelievable. So the person who took the photo, which was in itself so disgraceful and despicable, and the questions that Honest Reporting are they're questioning, what were these reporters doing so early in the morning? How did they know that there was going to be an attack? And what did they do standing by, taking photos of Jewish girls being raped and then killed, and then photographing them? And now they're being rewarded by having their photos as the best photo, the #1 photo for the year of this school of photography. It's just unbelievable. So I wish there could be better news there. And I have a very difficult situation. My last patient that I saw today, her daughters have been invited to South Africa for Pesach. And I mentioned to her, because they have their father's South African and they have South African roots and they've been in the army, that it might be a bit of a problem, them coming to South Africa. So she phoned, it's an uncle who's inviting the girls. And he said, no, it's only if you were born in South Africa or you have South African citizenship. But it's really sad that Pandor, the foreign minister, has singled out Jews who serve in the IDF, that they will be going to jail if they return to South Africa if they served in the IDF. What's very, very interesting is that she's so going to the ICC and the ICJ and all these IC places, and she wants a warrant of arrest to Netanyahu, But very interestingly, when the Sudanese president, Omar al-Bashir, came to South Africa and a warrant for his arrest has been issued by the International Court of Genocide and all the international courts, because he was found guilty of the worst possible crimes of genocide, mass killings, rapes, and pillage in Darfur. When he came to South Africa, he was not arrested. So there is such double standards. It's just unbelievable to see the incredible amount of double standards. And Rav, I just want to mention, being in Israel, and I'm sure your son can mention it as well. Every day you wake up and you think, what is the next news going to give? We know that there is a group in, I think they're in Cairo and Qatar, speaking about the hostage release. On my way home, I saw so many protesters protesting against the government. But the truth is, if Hamas would release the prisoners, and if they would lay down their arms, there would be no more war. There'd be no more bombings. There'd be no more conflict. But the world and all countries around the world, they are blaming Israel. They're blaming Israel for this famine. All of a sudden, there's so much food in Gaza because Hamas don't have the control that they once had. But Israel is blamed for every single aspect of this war, which is just unbelievable. So we see the duplicity. We see that we really are a nation that dwells alone. The only difference is that we do have some amazing friends out there, like Douglas Murray, who's been incredible, and we do have some really quite incredible friends in the States, in the House of Representatives and the Senate, that are still sending armaments to Israel. And it's driving the Europeans crazy that America can still send armaments for Israel to defend itself, because they want to see a total blockade of all no sanctions on armaments, which Canada has now sanctioned. They just want to see us being defeated. But you know what? Bezrat Hashem, we have Hashem's help, and we will survive. Not only we will survive, bro, but we will thrive. Bezrat Hashem.
Amen. 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 Shukra. Thank you, Dr. Lev. Rabotai, we're going to speak tonight about the days that between Purim and Pesach, those 30 days between the festival of Purim that we had until the festival of Purim, the Pesach that's coming on. And then we're going to explain a few things regarding why is it called Megillat Esther and it doesn't call Haggadat Esther, or why it doesn't call Megillat Pesach. We'll speak about that. Be'ezrat Hashem. Then I'm going to go and explain who wrote the Megillah Be'ezrat Hashem. And then we'll go through it and we'll start to introduce Pesach. That's the next subject of the next few weeks of the show. But first, I would like to dedicate the show in the soul of Esther Kaden Bat Ketzia, Mordechai ben Rahma, Tamar Bat Zeava, Itan ben Keren ve'Avishai Na'eh, Malka Regina Bat Joya, Yaakov Salomon ben Farha ve'Farha Bat Farha. Nishmatam tiyeh tzrura b'tzur ha'im. Also, I would like to dedicate the show in health of Liora Bat Miriam, Menashe Naji ben Farha, Harav Moshe ben Bahia, Batia, Harav Moshe ben Devora, Harav Shlomo Yehuda ben Dalia, Harav Avraham ben Marina, Dvora Bat Esther, Sheina Keila Bat Hana, Mordechai David ben Leah, Yehuda Hillel ben Shulamit Leah, Haim Nahum ben Pesa Reza Kohen, Baruch ben Sarah Hiena, Ahuva Kaden bat Tali Esther, Leah bat Rachel, Pesach Yitzhak ben Ela, Ayala Eden bat Rivka, Natalie Malka bat Sarah Rivka Tal, Yehuda ben Eliezer, Meir ben Yehuda, Ariel ben Shilat, Uri ben Yael, וחנניה שלום בן אביגדור, וכל שאר חולי ופצועי עמו ישראל, that please God need רפואה שלמה, please God speedily רפואה שלמה to them. רבותיי, the day that between Purim, the 30 days that we have between Purim to Pesach, Chazal call it in the Gemara in Masechet Megillah, Chazal call it Geula leGeula, from redemption to redemption. That you can find in the Gemara in Masechet Megillah in page 6, folio 2. Chazal say that those days, the 30 days that we have from the Purim that we just celebrate to Pesach, the Bezrat Hashem that we're going to celebrate in Jerusalem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will build Bet HaMikdash. It's called Geula leGeula, from one redemption to another redemption. Hazal explained that there are very good days, those 30 days. And why is it? Hazal explained that many miracles happen to the Jewish people during that time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, basically, we know that in the time of King Ahashverosh, he made a lot of miracles to the Jewish that was underneath the authority of the King Ahashverosh, okay, that was over 127 countries. We saw the great miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done to them. Not only that, we saw that what HaKadosh Baruch Hu done to the Jewish people, how he redeemed the Jewish people from Egypt in Pesach. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed the Jewish people during Pesach time. So Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should see those miracles. But we have to understand what's hiding behind those days. So the Maran Shulchan Aruch say, okay, that Kodem HaPesach, before the Pesach, we start learning the law of the Pesach. 30 Yom Kodem HaPesach, okay, 30 days before the festival of Pesach, we have to learn the law of Pesach. And why is that? Because the law of Pesach is so intense. There's so many laws, so many things to look at. We have to study it. But Hazal explained that those 30 days in more deeper meaning. It's a time to us to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Those 30 days between Purim to Pesach, it's for the Jewish people to connect and to bond with the Almighty. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu given us 30 days between Purim to Pesach. That means Geula leGeula, it's to see, to understand the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done for us in the time of Pesach. It's look like in coincidence. Wow, in Purim, he done it in coincidence. While in Pesach, he done it openly. Everyone can see the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu performed. The 10 plagues that he brought on the Egyptian, the splitting of the sea, okay? The great miracle that we call it Shabbat HaGadol. Also, that what happened with that they took the lamb and tied to their bed, and that was one of the god of the Egyptian. It's come to tell you that we should open our eyes, we should focus, and we should try to come closer to the Almighty and to bond together with Him. Those 30 days, it's for us to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can change everything. Now, we have to explain what's the difference between the Megillah and the Haggadah. We know that in Purim, we read Megillat Esther. We call it Megillat Esther. While in Pesach, we call it Haggadah, Haggadat HaPesach. And many of the Mefarshim ask, why you don't call it, for example, Megillat Pesach or Haggadat Esther? If you call it Megillat Esther, call also the Haggadah of Pesach, okay? Megillat Pesach. If you call the Haggadah of Pesach, Haggadat Pesach, call Haggadat Esther. Why not? Why they giving him a different name? That's a question that many of the Mefarshim ask. And we have to understand, before I'm going to explain that, there is a secret. There is a secret why they call it Megillah. They call Megillat Esther, and why they call, Haggadat Pesach, Haggadah. But before I'm going to explain, I need to make something very clear. In Hebrew, every word has a meaning. And what do I mean by that? Obviously, in our language also have meaning. But for example, in Hebrew, when you call something, like for example, an ear, Ozen. Ozen, it's mean Aleph, Vav, Zain, Nun Sofit. The roots of that word mean izun, balance. Okay? Hazal explained to us that and we all know medically that the balancing of the body weighs it in the earth. So every word in Hebrew have a meaning. That's mean ozen, it's to tell us that that's where is the place where the balance of the body is, beside the hearing. Okay? So now that can help us to understand the root of the word Megillah, why they call it Megillah, and why they call it Haggadah. Megillah, it's Milshon, they call it Megillat Esther, it's Milshon, hidden. Everything in a Megillah, hidden. For example, Esther didn't tell and didn't reveal her nationality. Esther never told where she came from, although that she'd been asked. She kept it all the time in a secret. All the story of Purim, if you look at it, it looked like it's happened by coincidence. That Mordechai told Esther right at the beginning of the Megillah that Bigtan V'Teresh planning, okay, to kill the king. Bigtan V'Teresh been found guilty, been put to death, okay, but Mordechai didn't been a reward. But it's written in a book of memory. When the king Ahasuerus couldn't sleep, then he asked for the book of memory, and then he realized that Mordechai had never been a reward. Who came? Haman HaRasha. And the rest we know. Not only that, if you look in Megillat Esther, the name of the Almighty, you can never find it. But you can find it in Ekreman. Where do you find it? It said that the holy name of the Almighty, Shem Havaya, can be found. Yavo, Hamelech, Haman. Okay? That means Yavo, Hamelech, Haman. Chazal say that Hayom, and the word Hayom, Yavo, Hamelech, Haman, Hayom, the Seudah. Chazal say, if you look the acronym of the word Yavo, Yud, Hamelech, K, Haman is Vav, Yud, K, Vav. Hayom is, again, Hey, the name of the Almighty mentioned. What's hiding behind? It's come to tell you that you know why they call it Megillat Esther. Megillat Esther, all the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done to the Jewish people, and we explained that the miracle of Purim spread over 9 years. All the story of Purim spread over 9 years. So it looked like it's a coincidence. One led to another one. While the Haggadah of Pesach, what it mean Haggadah? Haggadah, it's mean, okay, of Pesach, lehagid. What it mean lehagid, Haggadah? To say, to talk. And that's why the Ari Kadosh say, Rabbi Yitzhak Luri Ashkenazi, he born in Jerusalem 490 years ago. He said, take the word Pesach, split it to two, it means Pesach, that the mouth all the time should talk, should praise the Almighty. And that's why they call it Haggadah, Milshon lehagid, to say. That means to praise, to tell the great miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu performed in Egypt. What is that? First of all, was the 10 plagues that he brought on the Egyptian. Then, each plague himself you have to praise and to talk about it. And then the splitting of the sea. To tell you something very important here. You know why they call it Megillah? Because the story of Purim was in a hidden, in a way that of coincidence, while the exodus of Bnei Israel from Egypt was openly. Everyone saw, everyone here, everyone knew about it. And that's the difference. So Megillat Esther called Milshon Hester, hidden, Megillah, while the Haggadah of Pesach, it's to praise the Almighty, to tell the great miracle that He performed, that everyone saw. It's to engrave on us the Emunah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what's the difference between the Megillat Esther and the Haggadah of Pesach. That's the great difference between them. And we have to understand that Megillah, okay, it's like a scroll, it's a roll, okay? While Haggadah, it's like a book. And that's the difference between them. So Haggadah is more on a hidden way, while the Haggadah, it's more an open way, an openly way. That means all to tell the story of the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done to the Jewish people in Eretz Mitzrayim, the land of Egypt. Now that we understand the difference between them, I would like to move on because the Megillah we already spoke about Purim. We're going to move towards the Haggadah. Many people ask the question, who wrote the Haggadah? Who wrote Haggadah of Pesach? So, Rabotai, first of all, we have to understand that it's not exactly sure. There's many different opinions who wrote the Haggadah. Once before, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago, I mentioned that Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol. There is some that say Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol, that means that's Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanos. He was the student of Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai. Okay? And he was actually close to Bet Shammai, to the house of Shammai. They was from the house of Shammai. There's different ideas, if I'm not mistaken, that many of the commentaries, many of the people say that a matter of fact that the Haggadah of Pesach been written by the member of the Great Assembly, by Hazal, by the great member, the people of the Great Assembly. Okay, but Rabotai, the Haggadah is already mentioned in our Talmud. The Talmud, just matter of interest, it's already been written over 2,500 years ago. Hazal in a Gemara in Masechet Psachim, you can check it out. In page 116, folio 2, Hazal tell us something very interesting. Hazal tell us that Suma Patur Minha Agada. What does it mean, Patur Minha Agada? I will explain. And what is Suma? Suma is a blind person. A blind person that doesn't have the obligation to read the Agada because he can't read. So already from here you see, from that Gemara in Masechet Psachim, if you want to check it out, 116 folio 2, that Hazal already speaking, Hazal is Hachamenu Zikronam Livracha, speaking about the Haggadah of Pesach. That means that the order of the Haggadah is already been put together by the time of our sages. Some of the new commentary, and I read it today, and I have to explain, that they explain that the order that they have in Haggadah, it's not the order that we have today. The order that we have today, a matter of fact, it was during the time of the era of the Geonim, Kufat HaGeonim, the era of the Geonim. Kufat HaGeonim is we talking about the 9th centuries, okay? It's over, if I'm not mistaken, it was 1,000 years ago, that Kufat HaGeonim, before 1,000 years ago. And Hazal said that what we see today, actually, the Haggadah that it's, the order of the Haggadah that we have today, it's been actually put together and published together by the Geonim. So we see from here that there's 3 different opinions, but the most common opinion that the Haggadah was there. We know that the Haggadah was already been written in a time of our sages over 2,500 years ago. The Haggadah that we're reading on Pesach. And now I would like to tell something very interesting that you all have to remember, and I suggest for you to remember, and I'll tell you why. In Pesach night, we do a Kiddush, and straight after the Kiddush, we drink the first cup of wine. That we all know. After the cup of wine, we usually go and vas, not usually, we go and vas, and we vas without a brocha. The mystical rabbi tell us that there is a secret to do in that time. After we finish the Kiddush, after we finish to drink the first cup, before we leaving the table to go and vas, to eat the karpas, without a brocha, that means without vasing, vasing without a brocha, and saying the brocha on a karpas. A person, before we leave the table, tell the member of the family, the people that with him on Leila Seder, to sit for 2 seconds, 2 minutes, not 2 seconds, 2 minutes, to focus and to ask whatever he need, if it's in health, that means physically health, people need parnasa, people need to find a shidduch, people that need kids, that battling to have kids, and etc. All the physical things. Not only that, the mystical rabbi said that people must ask also for spiritual things, that his kids gonna be Shomrei Shabbat, Talmidei Chachamim, that he have the knowledge and a Torah, that he can learn Torah, that they build a house of Torah. And the most important thing, Rabotai, that we should ask him that night before we go and vas, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send us Mashiach. As we see, the world is completely chaos all over the world. The world is blind. They don't see what they're doing. They don't understand what's cooking on. Or if they understand, they don't want to see. Whatever the case is. But it's all from Shammai. Just after the Kiddush, I'm explaining again, Rabotai, after you finish the drink, because after the Kiddush you have to drink, okay, the first cup of wine, you sit and you tell your family, ask. You need brocha in studying, tell the grandchildren, you need brocha and atzlacha, whatever you want, tell your kids, tell the member of the people to sit for 2 minutes, quietly, to close their eyes, to speak to the Almighty, to ask for everything. Why is it? And here come we're going to hit the nail on the head. The mystical rabbi explained that the gate in heaven are open. Chazal said, Sha'arei Shamayim nin'alu. That means all the gate of heaven are closed, except the gate of crying. But we're not allowed to cry on Pesach. But on Pesach, the gate of heaven is open. And because they're open, our tefillah, our request can penetrate straight to heaven. Say, there is a midrash that called the Hiskuni. Hiskuni, been written by Rabbi Hiskiah ben Manoach. Rabbi Hiskiah ben Manoach, he born in France around 773 years ago, plus minus. And in midrash, he explained, what does it mean that the heaven is open? Sha'arei Shamayim Ptuchim. He explained like this. Yitzhak Avinu wanted to bless Esav HaRasha. We all know that. What did he say to him? Bni, my son, said the Midrash, Sha'arei Shamayim Ptuchim alayla. The heavenly gate open tonight. Make me something to eat. It's not that Yitzhak Avinu needed to eat. He wanted to say the brocha over the food that his son gonna bring him. In a merit of that he say a brocha, he can also ask a brocha for him. Said the Midrash, from here you learn that Yitzhak Avinu said to Esav, Sha'arei Shamayim Ptuchim, the heavenly gate are open, and that night. And Dafka, and that night, Leila Seder, the night of Pesach, the 15th of Nisan, the heavenly gates are open. So I'm asking you, please go and make for me food and bring it to me so I can say brocha over the food. שהברכה תחול על something, that the blessing that I'm going to bless you is going to be on something. Say Rabbi Hizkiah Manoah. So from here, you can learn. Rabbi Hizkiah Manoah, born 773 years ago, Rabotai Midrash Hiskuni, said, oh, it's not just another idea. He says that on Pesach night, after, and said the Mekubalim, after you done the Kiddush, drink the first cup of wine, tell everyone to sit around the table for a few minutes. And who of us doesn't need blessing? Who of us can say that he doesn't need health? Who of us can say that he doesn't need health? Who of us doesn't need peace, doesn't need guardians, and etc.? We all need. Take 2 minutes. Focus. Leila Pesach is a long night, I know, but 2 minutes not going to make a change. To take that remedy, to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the most important, Rabotai, in that night, is to ask that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send us Mashiach Tzidkenu, so we can celebrate Pesach in Yerushalayim that night. And Chazal tell us that Bnei Israel, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them to do Korban Pesach when they was in Egypt, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took them to Yerushalayim. The Targum Yonatan said, Targum Yonatan explained that that night they celebrate in Jerusalem, and then he brought them back to Egypt. Why did he need to bring them to Egypt? There was already in Eretz Israel, leave them. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to show them what does it mean, how's it going to be the last plagues, how it's going to be the plague of firstborn, and how's it going to be the splitting of the sea, to show them the miracle in their own eyes. How he going to get rid of all the Egyptians, how he going to drown them, the great empire of Egypt. And Hazal tell us that when Mashiach comes, the performing of those miracles going to be 50 times more. Hazal say, why you say the noon, and explain the gematria of the latest noon is 50. HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to perform 50 times more miracle in the last redemption. So we should ask, when we're sitting around the table, after we drink the first cup, to ask that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will perform those 50 miracles. And say enough to all the chores that we have. Enough that the entire world will see the Almighty. That's the most important thing about that. Now I would like to start to do introduction to the Haggadah, and to go slowly, just introduction. We're not going to go tonight through the Haggadah, that please God will do in the next few weeks before Pesach. We're going to go through interpretation of the Haggadah to give a different insight, different way to look at the Haggadah. But there's something very interesting in the Haggadah. The Haggadah starts with Aramaic. The Haggadah starts like this: Ha lahma aniyah, de'achlu abatanya be'ara'a de Mitzrayim. What does it mean? When we say that verse, we know that it's Aramaic. What does it mean? This unleavened bread that our fathers eaten in Egypt. That means the bread of poverty that our fathers eaten in Egypt. And we hold the matter. Many of the Mefarshim ask, I don't understand, why is the Haggadah starts, number one, with Aramaic, and after that verse, we don't see anymore in a Megillah. It's all moving to Hebrew, the language of Hebrew, all the Haggadah. So how come the Haggadah have to start in Aramaic? In previous years, I explained, like, in their time, as we explained, when the Haggadah been written, it was during time of the sages. And if you look, all the Talmud been written in Aramaic, except the Talmud Yerushalmi, also a little bit in Aramaic. It's completely different Aramaic. But in that time, the common language was Aramaic. The Mefarshim explain like this: to draw the people, to waken up the kids, to give them the right inspiration, you start the Megillah at the Haggadah with Aramaic. That means to make them excited, to make them happy, to understand, and then you move to Hebrew. But the mystical rabbi bring in a different idea. The mystical rabbi explained that the 15th of Nisan, Leil Hashamur Min HaNezikin, it's the night of guardians. What does it mean, the night of guardians? I will explain that in the 15th of Nisan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually himself protect and guard us. And all the evil forces in the world don't have a permission to harm any Jew. Only if they get permission from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But in general, they can't do any harm. What does it mean can't do any harm? They can't criticize against the Jewish people. And we know that the angels in heaven does not understand the language of Aramaic. So when we sit around the table, we do Kiddush. Who coming? The evil inclination, the Satan. You see us speaking in Hebrew, you want to criticize, and immediately we start with what? With Aramaic. He doesn't have a pension. He said, I don't understand what they took him. He's leaving all the house of the Jews, and where does he go? He go to Iran, he go to Gaza. Let them be busy there, and Rafah and all of those, and underneath the tunnels with those people, with those wraiths, or in Lebanon. Let them be busy there. In Syria, all those places that full of them. Said the Mekubalim, you know why is it? Because he doesn't understand the language of Aramaic. He doesn't understand what we're talking. And we say we're talking in Aramaic. Immediately he doesn't have patience, he leaves us and he goes. Said the Mekubalim that the way that the Haggadah been instructed, the way that it's been instructed by our sages, is to start first, on purpose in Aramaic. So there is no criticize against any Jew that sit around the Seder and read the Haggadah. That means it's a night of protection. It's a night that we get guardians from the Almighty that no one can criticize against us. And that's why the Megillah the Haggadah start in Aramaic. Another interpretation that I saw that brought, by Rabbi Haim Palagi. Rabbi Haim Palagi, born in Izmir. Izmir is a city in Turkey. He born in Turkey in the city of Izmir. He born plus minus, okay, don't more hold me into it, plus minus 236 years ago, 235 years ago, around that. And he said like this. He said, look, in our 5 book of Moses, in our holy Torah, the written Torah, he said there's only 2 words in Aramaic. Where is it mentioned? It's mentioned in Sefer Bereshit. And it's called Yagar Sahada. What does it mean, Yagar Sahada? It means a monument. What it means a monument? It means when Yaakov Avinu and his father-in-law, our grandfather, Lavan, Mahshemov is for another grandfather like this. Okay, they made a covenant between them. Remember they make a covenant? And if you look carefully, the name of Lavan is mentioned in Agada. Say Rabbi Haim Palagi, you know why we're saying it in Aramaic? Because we don't want Lavan. Lavan represents all the evil forces. Lavan was a great witchcrafter, great sorcerer, great magician. We don't want Lavan and all of his group to be together. We want to get rid of all of those evil forces. Therefore, we start the Megillah Dafka in Aramaic. Nachon that he mentioned in the Megillah, but we want to get rid of all of his help, all of those people that with him. We're talking about the spiritual evil forces. So what we do, we speak in Aramaic, and that's the main reason Hazal explained that we're starting the Haggadah in Aramaic to get rid of them. We don't want to see them. So now it's a different idea for us just to understand why we start the Haggadah Dafka in the language of Aramaic, and we say Halachmania in Aramaic. Nachon, that there is many translation in English, in French, that explain the Aramaic. Nothing wrong with that. You can read it. But the most important, the Baal Koreh, the person that read the Haggadah, I call him Baal Koreh, but the person that read, not only him, because usually we share the reading of the Haggadah, that should say it in Aramaic, firstly, to start in Aramaic, and not to start in any other language. Later on, to explain what does it mean to those that doesn't understand, those that sit in a meal, in a Seder, you can explain it in whatever language is it. Then I would like to speak in general about the 10th plague, and with that, I'm going to end up the show tonight, just to prepare us for the Haggadah. We know that one of the things that it's the most amazing thing that Akadosh Baruch Hu punished the Egyptian when he brought on him 10 plagues. And we have to understand, and many of the Mefarshim ask, many of the Mefarshim ask, why did Akadosh Baruch Hu didn't bring one plague and finish the story? Why didn't bring the plague of the firstborn on the Egyptian and finish the story? That's it. And then redeem the Jewish people. No, Akadosh Baruch Hu brought 10 plagues. Why is it so important that Akadosh Baruch Hu have to bring 10 plagues? Akadosh Baruch Hu can do anything. No, so what's the Hidush Dafka 10? So I saw a beautiful commentary of the Maharal Miprag, Rabbi Yehuda Livia ben Betzalel. He born in Posen. In Poland. He born around 512 years ago, plus minus. And in his book Gur Aryeh, okay, the cub of the lion, if you translate it to English, he explained like this. He said that you have to understand that all the idea of the 10 plagues was to conquer what the Egyptian tried to implant on the Jewish people. That means that the Egyptian tried to implant on the Jewish people the most important thing for them, that there is no God in the world. Not only that there is no God, that to be anti. That means to believe in different gods, in idols, to worship, because there was pagan in Egypt in that time. And in Haggadah, we say something very interesting. We read a verse that it says, Rabbi Yehuda haya noten baim simanim. Rabbi Yehuda used to, from the 10 plague, used to give different signs. What does it mean? We know that it was 10 plagues. The first 3 plagues, Idam, Sfardea, Kinim. Rabbi Yehuda used to mention them an acronym. What is he used to call it? Datzach, Daled, Sadik, Kuf. What does it mean? The acronym of Dam is Daled. The acronym of Tzfardea is Sadik. And then the acronym of Chaf is Kinim. I said Kuf before, sorry, my mistake. Chaf. And then we have the next 3. Arov, Dever, Shchim. Used to call it Hadash, the acronym of those 3 plagues. The last 4 plagues, okay, Barad, Arbe, Choshech, Makat, Bechorot, you call it Be'ahab. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda used to give an acronym name to the 10 plagues. Said the Maharal Miprad, let me explain to you what's the secret behind it. In why did they split them 3, 3, 4? There's a secret behind. He said, if you look, the first plague was dam, liquid. The second one was tzfardea. Where is the frog live? Inside the liquid. Kinim, on the earth, on the sand. It's come to tell you that here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he brought those 10 plagues, was a secret. The secret is, it's to show that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, number one, is in control of all the liquid in the world. There's no question. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can turn water to blood and then blood to water if he wants. No one can tell him what to do. Then he's in control of all the animal inside the liquid. That if you come and tell me, okay, so it's control of liquid. No, he's also control in what's living inside the liquid. Excuse me. And then he come to show you that he's in control of insect that less than the size of 2 centimeters. And that's the lice that live inside the sand, not only in the liquid. That's the first one. The second batch of plagues, that was Arov, Dever, Shchim. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu come and show that he's in control of all the big animals. Not only that, he can bring sickness on the animal. He can make them sick, he can make them healthy, whatever the case is. But also he brought boiled. Why is boiled? That to show you that he can bring also human being sickness. Say the Maharal Miprad. He say if you look at the last part of the plague, the 4 last plagues from the 10 plagues, it was Barad, that was hail, Arbe, that it's locust, Hoshech, it's darkness, and Makat Bechorot is the firstborn. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed them that he can bring and he can perform a different miracle. When the hail came, it wasn't just hail. It was ice and fire together. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tried to implant in the Jewish people that he's in control also of the fire and the water that can't go together. He can make them work together. Then locusts. He come to show you that he's in charge about all the insects that flying in the air. And then darkness, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in charge about all the lights in the world, darkness and light. No one can tell him what to do. And finally, say the Maharal Miprad was Makat Bechorot. What's so special about Makat Bechorot? He say here you see something very interesting. Here you see the supervision of the private supervision of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. While on the first plague, HaKadosh Baruch Hu just shown, okay, that he's in charge about liquid. On a second thing, on a second batch of plagues that we mentioned, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed that he know exactly what's happening in the world. But on a third plague, HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only show that he's have his private supervision, he also can change nature. That's mean to turn the world completely to darkness. To change the nature that water and fire doesn't go together, he changed that. He brought hell with ice together. That's me, sorry, ice and fire together. Not only that, we see the special supervision of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he knew who's the firstborn. And he separated the firstborn of the Jewish people from the Egyptian when the plague came. That means the plague of Makat Bechorot, it's something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to tell the Jewish people, listen, I can change the order of nature. I can show you that I'm in charge about everything. But to know who's a firstborn and who's not a firstborn, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to show the Jewish people that what the Egyptian tried to tell them, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu left them. That means the private supervision that the forefathers have, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, that's finished. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu come and show them exactly the opposite. Whatever the Egyptian tried to tell you all the time, that means that the Egyptian told, for example, they the God. Pharaoh said, Li Yeori ve'ani asitihu. I created the now. That means he said that he's God. Here come HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the Maharal Miprag and show him that you didn't create it. Because I can do in the now whatever I want. The second one, here HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed the Jewish people that he never left them on a second batch, that he knows exactly what's happening with the animal. But in the final plague, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed them that not only he can change nature, not only that he can turn day to night, night to day, or he can keep 6 days of darkness in the world, and etc. He showed them something very interesting. He showed them that he knows exactly who's a Jew and who's not a Jew. Not only that, he knows who's the firstborn and who's not the firstborn. And when he hit exactly the firstborn of the Egyptian. And that's the secret, Rabotai, behind the 10 plagues that we're gonna read, and we're gonna speak about Pesach. What's the Hidush here? The Hidush here is to implant in Bnei Israel, when they was in Egypt, the belief in the Almighty. What the Egyptian tried to contradict. Come HaKadosh Baruch Hu and show that all what they told them, all those words of non-believing that we call it kfirah, words of kfirah, not to believe in the Almighty, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to string. But by that we saying the 10 plagues, and we're speaking about it, and we explaining to our family, to our children, to the grandchildren. Some of you have grandchildren. When you explain all of that, it's come to implant on us and in our grandchildren to believe in the Almighty. Say the Maharal Miprag. And now we're going to summarize. All the 10 plagues, we know that been done openly, while Megillat Esther done in hidden. Okay? It's come to tell you something very important. It's come to tell you Pesach, it's all openly. That we have to implant on us the emunah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is emunah? If you say to someone, what is emunah? Emunah is something that you don't see and you implant on yourself. Or something that happened to you and you can't see it, but you still believe that it's from the Almighty. Something happened to you, a good thing, but it came from the Almighty. To bring the Megillah, and now I'm going to summarize what we started. To bring the Megillat Esther, that was in hidden, to join it to Haggadah of Pesach, that it's openly, and to tell us that everything that happened in our life, everything that happened to every person, have to believe that it's from the Almighty. Why? Because we have the private supervision of the Almighty, not only to the Jewish people, to everyone, the animal, the ground, the earth, the country, everything that happened in the world is the supervision of the Almighty. Everything that we see change in nature, it's all from the Almighty. That's the idea of Pesach and Purim. To tell us that although that it's look, some people say it was a coincidence, bemikre. We explain that if you take the word bemikre and you take every letter, okay, the acronym of every letter is rak me'Hashem. Bemikre rak me'Hashem, only from the Almighty. It's to implant to us that whatever happening to us, even if we see and even if we don't see, because all the miracles that perform in Pesach, they saw. The 10 plagues, the splitting of the sea, and etc. But the miracle of Purim, they couldn't see it. It was like a story that happened, that it spread over 9 years. It's to implant on us when we read the 10 plagues and when we tell the story of the 10 plagues. It's to implant in our heart, in the heart of our kids, in the heart of our grandchildren, to tell them that there is a private supervision. Those private supervision of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's still every second and every moment. HaKadosh Baruch Hu never leave us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu know when there is a hurricane happen in the world. He's in charge about the order of the nature. He's in charge when you see that there is a tsunami. He's doing it himself, no one else. That's the Hidush of the 10 plagues, to implant on us openly and hiddenly. That's the Hidush that we have to understand, and that's the difference between the Megillat Esther and the Haggadah of Pesach. And the 10 plagues stand to implant on us the emunah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in every way. That there is, number one, there is a God to the world, there is Almighty, there is a creator to the world. There is a God that can change nature. There is a God that have his private supervision on this world. And he never left the world. It wasn't like some people say. He created the world and now he's too busy in a heavenly. No. That's called kfirah. That means that that's non-believing. You can't say that. You can't think like that. What we have to understand that everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that if we think, if we believe that the same like HaKadosh Baruch Hu done and performed the miracle to the children of Israel in Eretz Mitzrayim, he can perform the miracle now every second. He can send Mashiach Tzidkenu Be'ezrat Hashem. speedily in our days. He can change everything. And he's the one that's going to allow the hostages to be released or to stay still in captivity. But the Chokhmah is for us to daven to him, for us to believe that he can do that. And we have to daven. So when we're sitting on Leila Seder, okay, if the Mashiach not going to come until then, we have to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu that night, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, release those hostages, release those that been kidnapped, release those in prison. The same like you put them in a split of a second there, you can change that decree and release them in a split of a second. And that's the Chokhmah. So remember, Rabotai, I'm repeating again and again. After the Kiddush, after we drink the first cup, take 2 minutes, focus, and ask for whatever we need. Not only personally, also generally, for all the people. Rabotai, I would like to wish you all a good night, a beautiful night, to wish you a beautiful week ahead. And we should take those days that left, less than 30 days, between Purim to Pesach, to connect to the Almighty, to bond to our Father in heaven, okay? Everyone, whichever way he can connect, speak to him openly. Speak to him like you're speaking to a father, like you would speak to your father. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to speak to him. And those 30 days, Rabotai, we can prepare ourselves to be redeemed, and Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should see miracle, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will redeem us speedily in our days, and we see Mashiach Tzidkenu and the building of the third Bet HaMikdash, and we'll celebrate Pesach this year. Where? In Yerushalayim. Amen. Ken Yeh Ratzon. Those of you that have question, I don't know if there is any question, please unmute the microphone. B'chavod. Any question? No. Okay. So in that case, Rabotai, I would like to wish all of you a beautiful holiday tomorrow, a public holiday. Enjoy, rest, okay, safe. And the most important, that we should have a focusing that where we are in a time of the redemption, we are towards the end of days, what Hazal call it. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we just see it in our days safely and happy. Amen. Ken Yeh Ratzon. Have a good night, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Good night.